whether we reincarnate into this world again, or we reincarnate into the next world, into some other world. Everyone's interested in this. And some are drawn to the wisdom of Kabbalah to learn about this. But I have to tell you right off the bat that this is one of those hidden aspects that isn't really explained, though Kabbalah covers all questions, all sciences are included in the wisdom of Kabbalah. There are some things that are secret, and they're not secret. Well, let me tell you what kinds of secrets there are. So there are secrets that are secret because it's called forbidden, and that means impossible. Impossible to explain. And really, when one wants to kind of jump to these secrets, meaning just tell me the secret, I want to find it in some book, or I want some wise person to tell me. What they're really saying is, I don't want to attain it myself. And the Kabbalists come and say that actually you're going to have to not just hear this from some wise person, but become such a wise person yourself who is attaining it just like you attain this remote. I know I have this remote in my hand, so I could also attain what reincarnation is. So, and to do so is, of course, to become a Kabbalist. That's somebody who elevates above this life that I was born into and feel myself living. And I feel that there's some history that happened before me and some future that will happen after. A Kabbalist is one who ascends above this world and attains supernal spiritual worlds. And in these worlds is contained all information about our world, of course, and then there's also much, much more to discover beyond it. Much more interesting things, more sublime things. And so Kabbalists tell us that there are some secrets that you actually just cannot process in your brain the way it's built, with its angles, with its corners. In that kind of a brain, like a scorpion, for example, I could not probably explain the intricacies of Shakespeare or physics or calculus to a scorpion. His brain is just not built for that. My dogs, though very sweet, their brains are not built to understand these type of things. And similarly, as humans, however wise and intelligent I may be, and however many books I may have read by other wise and intelligent people, there are a few things that I'm not going to be able to understand. I just can't. And the only way that I would be able to understand them is if I become a Kabbalist, I develop, they say we only use 4% of our brain. I don't think that's exactly right, but let's say there's 96% more, meaning there are other channels within you that can open up. Just like, let's say, if we can only imagine it by having fewer senses than we have. Let's say you never had eyes, but you could get around just fine, like many animals do without eyes, through thermally, like snakes get around, or with the nose, like dogs mostly get around. Let's say you could get around, and then I try to tell you that there's something called sight. What is it if you've never felt sight? Well, I tell you it's possible. I can't explain it to you, but you could develop eyes to be able to see. So too, you can develop an additional sense that is just, well, I don't want to say it's just like, because it's not just like your corporeal senses that you get built in from birth, but it's as powerful, as revelatory as being born into this world. You suddenly see, everything and you can live in it and research it, so too with the spiritual world. You can be born into it by developing this sense, and suddenly you see there's a whole world, a real world, not imaginary, not something off to the side that I experience kind of, in my mind or something, or in a dream. No, an actual world. And in this world, there is something that is called reincarnation. So that is why there is a book by the Kabbalist on whom really all Kabbalah, modern Kabbalah, is based. And his name is Isaac Luria, also known as the Ari. And he wrote a book about reincarnation, and it's called Shar Hagigilgulim. So it's the gate to reincarnation, and in Hebrew it's actually wheels, because that's how this thing operates, but it's translated as reincarnation. And here's what he says in that book from the outset. He says, "The reincarnations of souls are a great and hidden mystery, and no human intellect can comprehend them. Only that which has been revealed to us a little by our sages of blessed memory, this alone is fitting for us to know." So it's important that he sets this fence here, and this is the most revelatory book on this subject, and he just wants to let us know that we're not going to probably know everything, because some things are secret. And like I said, there's a few kinds of secrets. There are the ones that are just impossible. We lacked the mind, we lacked the heart, and most importantly, we lacked the senses. And if I had these senses around them, like your brain develops in relation to your sense of what you hear, of what you smell, of what you see, then you can start calculating, measuring, philosophizing about it. So too with the spiritual sense. When I develop this spiritual sense and reveal this world, then like a baby born into this world starts to rapidly develop a mind about it and an understanding. So too we develop a mind and understanding about the spiritual world. But this is a very opposite world. It's not something kind of like our reality. It's not opposite our reality. It's just opposite upon opposite. Something totally alien and yet strangely very desirable. Such a paradox. Something we have deeply always wanted and bitterly know that we can't have. And thus we don't even allow ourselves to dream about it. But it's just something unimaginable. And so without these senses, we will not be able to understand it. And so that's one kind of secret. Something you just won't be able to comprehend. The words could even disgust you to hear about how beautiful it is and wonderful and exciting and adventure. And another kind of secret is one that is called the Creator's secrets. And that's simply that it is a secret that a person who attains this reality gets access to. There are many such secrets, and you just can't tell them. And could it be, though, that in some book, somewhere, or some person yapped a little bit too much and opened up their mouth about it and let it out, and it's hidden in some book? That's impossible. We think with our human minds, secrets can be revealed. Somebody could turn on the government that they worked for and give the secrets to someone else if offered reward enough to do so. And in this case, it's impossible. Why? Because if I attain spirituality, those supernal worlds, I do so on the basis of already being with the exact mind and heart, speaking, poetically, the same mind and heart as the Creator. Therefore, in the same way that that creator, with his proverbial mind and heart, decided that such things should be secret and concealed, so too, upon revelation of those secrets to me, I have the same mind and heart to keep them concealed and hidden, and no desire, but rather an opposite desire to let them out. I have an opposite desire to that. I want to keep them concealed, a strong desire to keep them concealed. And so all of the things that a Kabbalist attains, which is all of history, from beginning to end on the timeline, let's say we're somewhere in the middle, and he attains everything. And there are some things in that history that are secret. Why couldn't we know certain things why are things from like 2,000 years ago, totally hidden? But let's say from 3,000 years ago, we have a lot of information about them. There are certain things that are hidden for a reason. And so with some things, some of these secrets, they're called the creator secrets. And here with respect to reincarnation, even though we're about to explore it, there are some things that are called secrets of the creator that just can't get out. And part of the reason for that, really I could actually say the only reason for that, is that it would harm what? A person's correction, which is the only reason we exist in this world, to correct our souls, elevate above this world, and reach spirituality, attainment of the creator, the purpose of our existence. Now, because I have a shirt here, let's say, and this shirt is supposed to go on me. I'm supposed to wear it. And at the end of the day, I throw it away. This is essentially what our body is like. It's a shirt that we put on. And the only problem is that I spend most of my time thinking about this shirt. I wake up in the morning. The first thing I think is, what do I want? I want some coffee now. Maybe I want to exercise. I do things I don't want to do, you could say, but actually they are for me. I go to work bitterly against my will, maybe, and think about people. I find myself having to think about my boss, my colleagues, my customers, my students, or whatever it is I do. I have to think about things that aren't the shirt, that aren't me, what I call me. It's actually just a shirt I'm wearing right now that includes everything, all of my feeling of history, the history of my life, my kids, my family. All of this is this shirt. I'm forced to seemingly think of things outside of the shirt, but actually they're things that benefit this shirt, that will make it more convenient for this shirt. So for example, I walked downstairs and I saw my little 3-year-old was watching, in the family mess. We have a big family, somehow she ended up watching TV all by herself. And I couldn't stand that. I can't stand to see her all by her lonesome. And so, I did something about it. So was that me thinking of others, or was that still thinking about my shirt? It's actually still what's convenient for me because I have compassion for her. And so it hurts me, something that happens to her. Or with my job, I have to think about something outside of me, but all of it actually relates to the comfort and well-being of this shirt. So Kabbalists think of this shirt as just something that I'm wearing right now. And what matters is what is inside of this shirt. And what is inside of this shirt is a desire at the end of the day, a point of desire. So we need to focus on that. Most of all, what's inside the shirt, not what relates to the muscles that I have, not what relates to the health that I have. I should take care of those things. But really, all of that disappears. Just like you can swat a fly, So it all disappears. This shirt goes to the hamper, and that's called the end of that life. And everything that was associated with it, just like you're shutting down a computer, that's it. That's it for it. It's all disappeared. The hard drive is gone. But not completely. Something does remain. Before we get into that, let's see what the Ari says about that. So in that very same Shar HaGilgulim, the Gate to Reincarnations, the Ari says, all that has been said regarding reincarnation is but a hint, for the matters are sealed and concealed. So this is in the most revelatory book on this topic. He says, all that has been said regarding reincarnation is but a hint, for the matters are sealed and concealed. So let's sort of give at least a hint about what reincarnation is and what it means for us. Okay? So here is from my teacher, Dr. Michael Lightman.
I think that everyone knows that our world is really aspiring for democracy. Everyone wants to be free. There is a constant, ongoing struggle, women against men, for freedom, the freedom of choice, freedom of identity. In short, everything is about freedom, freedom, freedom. Is this thing correct according to nature? According to the wisdom of Kabbalah, all of us are like cogwheels. Anyone who's turning is turning all the others, and when all are turning together, they turn each one in particular. Meaning that if a certain wheel, let's say the small red one, comes out of its place and doesn't want to turn with the others, it wants to turn faster or in a different direction, then it simply does nothing. Because it is possible to operate all of nature in one's faith only if one turns with all the others. So he has to try and find his place among others until he finds it. And then his good desire for sure will enter the cycle of all the other wheels, and to a certain extent will change them. And it's not in vain that it says that when sentences himself, he sentences the entire world to a scale of merit. And don't think that you're small and you can't change. You can change the cycle of all the wheels, and by this you determine.
All right. So we said that we want to answer the question, are past lives shaping your life? So we are basically in a system of souls that are built together like cogwheels. And the Ari writes in that book, he says, know that Adam, the first man, encompassed all the souls within himself. And when he sinned, his souls fell and were divided into many generations. And each and every soul must return in reincarnation until it is rectified. So we all come from a single soul called Adam Harishon. It appears to us on our computer monitor as we're living in this world, and maybe once upon a time there was a person named Adam, if that story is true. But the truth is that's just a projection from a more internal reality where we're all part of one thing. And where I said that our essence really isn't this shirt. This shirt is just a projection. The shirt that I'm wearing as my body. That's just a clothing over my desire. The desire is the essence, and it is what actually needs to be corrected, because the essence of creation is a desire that needs to be fulfilled. Like when I woke up in the morning, I needed coffee, or when I saw my daughter watching TV and I didn't like that, I had a desire. It doesn't matter in which trajectory, in which vector it's taking place. It could be that I have a strong desire to help an old lady across the street. It could be that I have a desire to give $1 million to a cause. It could be that I have a desire to not get in trouble with my boss at work, or not get in trouble with my wife or my neighbor. It doesn't matter in which direction. It can be to give to others. It can be to receive to others, but I have to fulfill the desire that emerged in me. And I have some desires to help old ladies across the street. I have some desires to give a gift to somebody on their birthday. I have some desires to buy myself a gift for myself. And the main thing is that I have a desire. Sometimes it's to sleep. Sometimes it's to watch a movie. Sometimes it could be for Kabbalah, for spirituality. But I have a desire that has to be fulfilled. That is the main thing that is driving every single thing. Right now I have a desire to move my hand like this. I could also hold them like this, but I have a desire to move them. I'm actually a little uncomfortable now speaking like this. So I need to fulfill the desire. And we can trace back every second of our life to a desire. And that is why that is the essence and the only thing that needs to be corrected. Our whole life, our whole world is just about correcting the desire, because the desire needs correction. Because the form that it is in right now, we can see from the evidence of our own life that there is a problem to fulfill it. There is a problem to be happy for more than a few seconds, more than a few days, more than a few months. But to be happy, and happiness means lots of levels of it with interesting things, so I don't get bored, so that I'm always on an adventure, something excites me, exhilarates me. To have this, it's nearly impossible, both in terms of my external opportunities and my internal opportunities. External is clear. You understand that the world limits you. Internal, it's also clear. You understand that you can only eat 1 gallon of ice cream, not 2, not 3. You could eat 1 maybe, and at the end of it, you know how you'll feel. And so we're limited like this in everything. And that's why the essence of the person is really the desire, and everything else just clothes upon it. I want to make myself more muscular, more healthy, so I'll feel good. Maybe I want to clothe a mansion around this body. I want to clothe some job that will give me prestige, because at this shirt that I'm wearing, I would like others to look and be jealous of it. So really, I focus my whole life upon this shirt. Now, our desire in this life, because what you really are is a desire, and that's it, and that's if there is something eternal, let's find out. But if there is something eternal, it's the desire. And in this life, it's much bigger than it used to be, meaning you have a bigger ego, and that's good, because it's all building up to a huge desire that needs to be able to swallow all of creation, all pleasures, but in a different way than we would have liked to do it. In a way that is directed back toward the giver. That all of these pleasures come from the upper light that can do everything, can give everything. It doesn't have any limitations. It's not limited by your political system, your economic system. It can make everything happen. It has all the tricks up its sleeve. Anything could happen in the next moment. Anything could happen tomorrow. You could get hit by a car and die, or you could win $1 billion in the lottery. It has every possibility. So it's not limited. The problem is that I need to be able to receive from it in a special way that would be compatible with the purpose of our whole lives. Now, everyone is built with this desire from the beginning of creation, and this desire is, on the one hand, growing. So on the one hand, it continues to grow, and you could see this if you watch a movie from, say, 1950. You see that the people there, they're so naive. They're so simple. They, could just live from generation to generation without much change. They could marry one person and be married to them for 80 years. Today, we see we can't have a girlfriend for a month. That's too much for me. I can't stand her. She can't stand me. That's just one instance, which is a product of our ego constantly growing. Because like I said, it has to grow until it can swallow not just the things we can imagine right now, but all kinds of treats, let's say, that are latent, built into creation. They're, like you have a Christmas tree with all kinds of things that Santa has put there for you, or some birthday presents that are coming your way. So they planned it, and in creation are built presents that gradually move from, say, those stocking stuffers all the way up to the biggest gift. And we don't have even a desire for these things. We don't even know about them. We can't let ourselves want them. So in short, the desire is growing. Our ego is growing as the generations go on. And on the other hand, we're not able to correct these things, meaning we don't know how to let our ego keep growing and not become more and more miserable. That's why we see in the statistics, World Health Organization, for example, depression is, probably up there in the 1 or 2 spot as the most, except for the fact that we have all sorts of depression medicine, but we're disseminating more and more of that. And it also eventually doesn't help that much. And it will help even less because we need a special solution to this problem of, one, the growing egoism, which only makes us realize more and more that we can't be happy with anything. It's not like before, where we thought if we come to America and discover America, the new land, then we'll be happy. If we go into outer space, then we'll be happy. Everyone was excited, in a tizzy about it. If we develop Hollywood, it'll be, stars and glitz and glamour, and then we'll be happy. If everyone will have a 2-car garage, with 2 cars. If women will go out into the workforce, then we'll be happy. We kept having such goals ahead of us. Until today, we can't even imagine that. You have a generation that they can't imagine anything good for themselves. AI will take all the jobs, dictators will take over, and there will be nothing for us. They're not dreaming about really anything good on the horizon. And that's because this global egoism, where we're all connected like those cogwheels, and we're all affecting each other, and we're all in this fishbowl together. You can see every celebrity, every billionaire's podcast, and you can see, what do they actually have? They're like me. They're also miserable like me. And so we need a correction for this ego. And that is why there is something called reincarnation. What is reincarnation? Let's see what the book of Zohar says on this topic. So, here's Bala Sulam first. So Kabbalist Bala Sulam says, even if a person excels in good deeds more than all his contemporaries, meaning you're a really good person, let's say, you do everything, whether religiously or something in this world, corporeal success, even if a person excels in good deeds more than all his contemporaries, if he has not learned the secrets of the wisdom of truth, that is Kabbalah, he must reincarnate in the world. That's just for a taste. Let's see what the book of Zohar says. These are the ordinances which you will set before them. The ordinances are the orders of reincarnation. For ordinances mean sentences of souls that reincarnate into this world, which are sentenced according to its punishment. So there's no punishment, really. It's using words that will make sense to us, but in reality, there's no punishment. What it is that this one soul called Adam Harishon divided. Why did it divide? Because it couldn't do the correction that I just spoke about, which is where I have a desire. I have a desire where I want to receive. I want to receive the light, whatever light means for me now. Later on, there will be such very special lights that instead of it just being called something in this world, say vanilla ice cream, I'll have access to special lights called nefesh, ruach, neshama. And these are unimaginable treats. But I won't just have a desire for mansion or something like that. I'll have a bigger desire that swallows all the mansions and all the vanilla ice cream as well. But I can't receive it just directly. This is the whole problem. I have to receive it in a special way that's called with a masak, with a screen, a spiritual screen. And if I build this spiritual screen, then I can receive infinitely. And since Adam Harishon was not able to do this correction over all of his desire, because that's all that we are is desire, maybe he was able to correct some of his desire, but not all of it. So then there had to be expulsion or externalization of some of that desire. And we're not talking about humans here. We're talking about desires. However it might clothe out into the world, we're not talking about that. I'm just talking about the system of forces and not how they appear to you and clothe in your mind and imagination. I'm talking about the system that underlies all of this, all of what we perceive. So the way that system works is that when there's a desire that can't be corrected in one individual, it goes to two. And when between those two individuals, they can't correct the relationship between them, so then it goes into more. And in the Torah, you have, what they're really describing there is not a story of who gave birth to who and whose dad was whom, but rather they're talking about the wheels of the soul, the incarnations, meaning the way this one desire, this enormous abyss of a desire that was created so that it could be filled with the light, it's talking about how this desire gets corrected by, first of all, dividing out. And so all of what we call humanity now once existed, and even more than we see, once existed within one person. And in him, he felt it was warm, like towards all of my qualities. I feel good about myself. I like myself. If you say something bad about me, I have a big problem. If you say bad about anything in me, I have a big problem with you already. And it could be that I think I don't love myself, but what that really means is that I've gone out into the world with me, with my qualities, and it's gradually beat me back. It's stomped me down and told me you can't behave like that. We don't appreciate when you're like that. You can't just be yourself, how you would like to be in every situation. No, you need to be a good boy, shut your mouth. And there are these qualities in you that we like, but there are those qualities in you that we don't want to see. And I don't actually accept that what I think then is that you kind of suck. And you really, there's something wrong with you. Maybe I will shut up for now and I will hide those qualities in me. And I'll say that I don't like myself, but actually I'm just bitter about the fact that I'm not able to express myself fully unhinged the way I would like to express myself. And I actually think bad about those who have forced me to restrict myself in such ways. But the truth about my internal qualities is that I love them all. And I just want them to be accepted. And I'm sorry that the world doesn't accept them all wholesale as they are. And Adam HaRishon was one who had in him not just the few qualities that I have. He had all of the qualities in the world that exist and that can ever exist. They all existed in him, warm and fuzzy. He loved them all. But he couldn't correct them all. And so they had to come out and be externalized. Now, when something's externalized, of course, it's different. Now I exist in the same plane in a world with those qualities. And you know how we feel in our world of limited resources, on purpose, limited resources, how we feel towards others who exist in our world with me in the same world, competing for the same resources. And when I experience something that is in me, as long as it's within the boundaries of my skin, I like it. I love it. I could have a desire to do something evil, do something bad, to rob a bank. If I'm the banker and someone wants to rob me, I don't appreciate such quality. But if it's in me, it's okay. Maybe I don't act on it, but that it emerges in me, I don't feel disgusted with myself. Whatever is inside of me, that's okay. But when that robber comes to me on the outside, that's a problem. So in short, I feel differently about the qualities of mine that get divided out, if I'm speaking as Adam HaRishon, that get divided out into the world, and now we share a world together. But they're all my qualities that used to be inside of me. Okay, let's go to another quote here and see what the Kabbalists have to say. So Bala Sulam, he says that this is the reason that we reincarnate generation after generation to our current generation, which is the residue of the souls upon which the intention of creation has not been completed. So that's what I just said. When Adam HaRishon couldn't correct some of his desires, and his offspring, meaning the desires that came out of him, could also not be corrected in that form, they got divided up. More and more and more divided. And like I said, the desires are also increasing as we go along. And thus you see an offshoot of this in the world, where if 50 years ago there were 3 billion people, today there are 8 billion people. And, maybe 1,000 years ago there was 500 million people. It's growing. Actually, it's not just people deciding to procreate more and more. It's that there's more of a necessity to split this desire into more and more people, into smaller and smaller parts. And Bala Sulam gives an example. He said that, say there's a king that wanted to transport his entire fortune to his new castle, and he couldn't trust anybody in his kingdom. And so he split it into pennies. He split it into bits that are small enough that a person would prefer to honor the king rather than dishonor the king because the amount is so little. And so that's why each person has now the ability to make a correction. They have the ability to reach spirituality over that which they have. So this is the reason we reincarnate generation after generation, which is the residue of the souls upon which the intention of creation has not been completed, as they did not attain the secrets of Torah in past generations. So what does this mean? If I do not attain spirituality, full spirituality, like a Kabbalist, where I'm born into the spiritual world from my life, where I think only this universe exists, to the spiritual world, then I have to reincarnate. So just to, address one of the misconceptions, because all of these misconceptions about reincarnation, ultimately they come from the wisdom of Kabbalah that got released, and it was disseminated in various ways, and it was corporealized. So that's why there are those that think, they were a dog, I was a rock, I was a tree in a past life. And Bala Sulam says here, he says, it is written that sometimes one comes incarnated as a pig. And I'm coming right out with this confusing thing so that I can introduce what Kabbalists really mean by reincarnation. Because the truth is, the reincarnation that people imagine in our world. I did a YouTube search on reincarnation. There are parents that knew that their son used to be something in a past life. Usually it's something very special. I was Pocahontas. I was, Teddy Roosevelt. I was Christopher Columbus. I was a slave in Egypt. Something. So it's always like something interesting. And the truth is I started out by saying that reincarnations is really a secret of the Creator. And I can just say that it's not at all like we imagine. The way that these things got corporealized, I'm guessing a lot of it was from also the Ari's book, Gate to Reincarnation, are completely incorrect. And my teacher said that to read the Gate of Reincarnations, you need first to read a few other things. You need to read the Bala Sulam's preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah called Pticha. You need to read the study of the 10 Sfirot and a few of Bala Sulam's other introductions, and then you can open up this gate to reincarnation and understand it correctly. So this is also why Kabbalists often hid certain things. It's because when it hits our brain, we corporealize it in a way that only confuses us even more. So a person would read this. It is written that sometimes one comes incarnated as a pig. Well, it doesn't mean that in my past life I was a pig, or that in my next life I might be a pig. What it means is that there is this certain quality that's called a pig. And it feeds on refuse. It can eat, any refuse. And there are times where I decide in my life that corporeality, things that I was busying myself with, really are not worthwhile. I should focus only on spirituality. Why don't I focus on the purpose of my life? Why don't I invest more in that? I mean, I have to go to work. I have to take care of my family. But with all of my free time, with all of my inner time, while I'm doing the corporeal things, why am I worrying about corporeality? Why don't I worry about my soul? Why don't I work on that? Why don't I invest in that? Because those investments are moving the dial towards the revelation of spirituality, of the Creator. I should invest in that. But then all of a sudden a new desire emerges in me, and all I can think about is vanilla ice cream or other things of this world, which I already decided are really not worth spending time. I know if I eat vanilla ice cream, I can only eat a gallon, and then I feel bad about it. So why even invest in that? Invest in something eternal. No, I want just vanilla ice cream, a gallon of ice cream. Let's watch some Netflix. And so this is why he said, it is written that sometimes one comes incarnated as a pig. So things that I decided were refuse, I now want to feed on them. Once again, I know I'm going to get nothing from this endeavor. I'm going to make the same mistake over again. Like someone who's trying to lose weight and eats the cake anyway. I know it's going to bring me suffering. Drinks the bottle of wine. I know it's going to bring me suffering. I'm going to do it anyway. For 1 hour of pleasure, I'm willing to suffer for a couple of days. Why would I do that? No reason, just because. And so this is called that I come incarnated as a pig. And you can be incarnated as all sorts of other things. Again, not the projection that you get in your imagination from the inner qualities that constitute such a creature, but rather the forces themselves. So sometimes such forces are working in you where you're really like a pig. And Kabbalists say in general that we often are like beasts. We're like animals. We're just we're one in the animal kingdom, and that's it. And so we can come as an animal, and this is called an incarnation. Let's see the next one. Okay, this is a really good one from the Kabbalist Rabash. Only one who was born with a keen mind and virtues and upright qualities, but one who is born with ignoble qualities cannot continue this work. This is considered that he died. Oh, that's called that I died. That I'm not paying attention to spiritual things. That the corporeal things, I'm not able to live in this world and do something internally towards spirituality. Rather, I'm in the corporeal world and I'm thinking all about the corporeal world and yearning about the corporeal world. So I'm in it, which I have to be for now, but I'm also yearning about it, thinking about it, obsessing about it. This is considered that he died because he no longer has any connection to spirituality, which if we attain it, it's really eternal life. And then I'm thinking about something that is beyond the shirt. I'm thinking about the internality of the shirt, what controls the shirt, what lets me throw away the shirt without caring about it and put on a new shirt. Meaning I can clothe in all kinds of different forms and different realities. If I'm not doing that, this is considered that he died, that he no longer has fuel to continue his work and have life. But the Creator, with his great mercies, revives the dead with great mercy, and a person is resurrected until he undergoes several reincarnations, whether in one body or in several bodies, as in no outcast shall be cast out from him, and he is rewarded with adhering to the level for eternity. So there you go. He has to reincarnate until he corrects his soul, meaning becomes a full Kabbalist, whether in one body or in several bodies. Take from that what you will. What does it mean to actually correct myself? Well, it means to correct myself in relation to the reality that is around me. And that reality consists mainly of this system of people, of humanity. Because remember, all that happened in history was the division of this desire. There was Adam HaRishon, one soul. And you need to have history because this soul needs to divide. meaning this desire, this one desire that can't be corrected yet in this way that I said, where over the desire, I have a screen, I have a resistor, so that I don't just receive directly like a socket, like a light bulb that has the two poles and there's no filament in between. That's where you get darkness. That's where you get this life, where we have such leaders over us, such economy, such a bad life, such suffering, starvation. That's not just happening like we think it is. We think it's happening because of him and because of him and because of them and because of whatever. No, that's because when the light of the Creator comes to us directly and we lack this filament, meaning each person has the ability to create this filament, this screen, through the wisdom of Kabbalah. Without that filament, I experience darkness. It can manifest however you are experiencing it. If I have this filament, I experience the world in a completely different way. And Adam HaRishon was not able to do that. So those desires over which it was impossible at that time in that juxtaposition to create a screen over each and every one, so they had to come out of him. And then he was able to be as corrected as he could be. And each one has to come out and they get a chance. In a different circumstance, slightly different circumstance, not too different, but slightly different circumstance, they can then start correcting themselves. They need to find the wisdom of Kabbalah and correct themselves in a good way, or they are going through sufferings lifetime after lifetime, incarnation after incarnation. And so now I will answer a question from the beginning. So what actually reincarnates? Not your memories, and I'm not speaking against anyone, but I'm speaking to those with an interest in Kabbalah already. So I have to be direct and honest. So if I think I remember that I was Pocahontas or something like that, that's complete nonsense. It just doesn't work like that. Reality is not built that way. And if I think that it's an imagination, that it's better to get over really quickly and move towards what actually could be. And there's something much more interesting, by the way, than just knowing that I was Pocahontas, that I was Teddy Roosevelt, and having the ability to tell people about that. And that makes me feel interesting and good. There's something much more interesting. So we can just get rid of that, throw that away, and forget about it, and move on to something that actually could be. So reincarnation doesn't work that way. But what does remain? Because the memories don't remain. And like in a computer, like in a program that doesn't allow certain things, on purpose, this program conceals from me what was before and what was after, what's coming. So it conceals from me whatever was before. I was born into this world. What's going on here? Okay, they start telling me things about history. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if these people are real. I don't know if this entire thing is maybe an imagination that I'm born into. That imagination is what's allowed. And before that, a person doesn't get to know what they were before and what they'll be after. But something continues, and it's only one thing. It's the sensation that I suffered, and what suffering I'm willing to spend my time on, because basically everything is suffering. If I want to build a business, if I want to get married, if I want to have kids, everything involves some kind of suffering. So even to make this coffee is some kind of little bit of suffering. But I decide that it was worth it. So which suffering, which endeavors are actually worth it? Well, there's some feeling about which ones are worthwhile that diminishes, narrows. I get painted into a corner where I have no possibilities left, eventually, other than spirituality. And I only, because this is what all of life, this whole theater is actually for, to bring me to spirituality. Now, remember, the only thing that needed to happen through this Adam HaRishon was that his soul was getting divided out, and what really needed to happen to it. What needed to happen? Why is it getting divided out? Well, it's getting divided out because very simply and only this, the relationship between the parts of this soul was not correct. And the ultimate goal is for all of these qualities that I really love, that are mine, they turn out to be mine, just like I love my little daughter. They all turn out to be my qualities that I want in me. I want to hug them. When they're outside of me, I hate them. Why? Because they're not me. I think they're not me, but they are me. And that's my tie-in to our 3-day leap, our annual Kabbalah retreat that I want to invite you to. The reason why we have such things, why we have the retreat, is because it's an opportunity to basically find people who are interested in becoming like Adam HaRishon, meaning finding the other parts of their soul and connecting to them. And through this connection, I can gradually start to feel that all of these parts are really inside of me. So and remember, this is the only correction that needs to take place. This has to do with the spiritual screen. This has to do with revealing the upper light inside of the vessel. Everything is included in this connection with others, but specific others, not just anyone. Only with those, if we're talking spiritually, only with those that, at least on the surface, say, I would like to do that too. I would like to connect the spiritual sparks. Not that we're going to hold hands, hug, something like that, write poetry to each other. No, but I need to internally create a connection with these others, as strange as they are to me. They're strangers. I could make a connection with my neighbor, my boss, my wife. Those people I know how to make a connection with. But strangers, yes, strangers, because they are those who are awakened like me towards the purpose of creation, and they have a powerful spark that I can integrate with and start building my soul. Because literally, that's all that happened in all of these incarnations, is that these parts of my soul that look like other people, they fell outside of me, drooped like organs. They're that valuable. It's like my heart. Let's just get sci-fi on it, okay? My heart, I discover outside of myself. I need to collect that heart and bring it back. My lung is outside. I need to collect that lung and bring it back. This is how important you discover are these random people that you connect with in a retreat. So I'm inviting you. Hopefully we can put it in the chat. The Kabbalah retreat. Look, there's 11 days, 23 hours, 29 minutes until this retreat. There's still time. Just do it. If you're thinking about doing it, just do it. Book your ticket. Go. Come with an open mind and heart, and you will advance in ways that you never thought possible. So come and build your soul together with us, and we'll see you next time. And if you're part of Kabbalah already, I'm inviting you to join me now in a special Q&A session in the Zoom. The Zoom link will be in your email. Thanks for joining.